Hey family, and welcome back to another Danielle Inspires. This week we're going to tackle the question, what's in your blind spot? Both physically and psychologically, people have blind spots. And you know, when it comes to driving, not having an awareness of what's in your blind spot is hazardous. It's a common saying that ignorance is bliss, but ignorance is also hazardous to your health in every sense of the word. On today's Danielle Inspires, I'm going to unveil and unpack for you two things in your blind spot that you will never see unless you're looking for them. Want to know what those two things are? Then stay tuned to this week's Danielle Inspires. Before we dive into today's juicy content, be sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and smash that alert button so you are aware of new content as soon as it is released. I'm bringing you fresh topics week after week, and today is no exception. Your engagement with me on this channel means a lot to me, so thank you. On to today's topic. A blind spot is an area where a person's view is obstructed. In psychology, blind spot refers to a lack of insight or awareness, often persistent, about a specific area of one's behavior or personality, typically because recognition of one's true feelings and motives would be painful. I want to paint a picture for you of the world we live in so that you'll understand the magnitude or scope of humanity's blind spots. So go with me to Isaiah chapter 60 verses 1 through 4. It reads, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and deep darkness the people. But the Lord will arise over you, and his glory will be seen upon you. The Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Lift up your eyes all around and see." Darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the people. That verse is talking about external darkness and internal darkness, where there isn't adequate light to see the condition around you and in you. Now imagine utter darkness, and all you have is a flashlight. There is this beam of light surrounded by vast amounts of darkness. If you've ever had to navigate through darkness with just a flashlight, you know that utter darkness is a hazardous condition for a moving object. You are the moving object, surrounded by darkness and armed with a flashlight that illuminates a limited amount of space in whatever direction you point it. So there's a little bit of light and a whole lot of darkness or blind spots. Please don't underestimate darkness. It is pervasive and perilous. If God speaks on it, which he has in his word, then you know the darkness is nothing to sneeze at. We've been warned about the state of the world. And for me, now more than ever, I'm aware of the darkness in this world and in people. You are a moving object with a flashlight, navigating the darkness, but there are millions of others around you, groping in darkness without any light to guide them. But God says to his people, "Arise and shine, for your light has come. Lift up your eyes all around and see." In other words, we can exchange our flashlight, which represents our man-made way of illuminating dark places, and we can exchange that for the divine light that comes from God. I don't know about you, but I like having options, and I prefer to have appealing options versus unappealing alternatives. Hopefully I painted a clear enough picture for you to know that in this world, there is more darkness than light. And our little man-made flashlight doesn't provide that much illumination, which means your blind spots are larger than you might have initially imagined. And your flashlight might not be pointed in the right direction. Whether you are operating by man-made light or divine light, let me tell you the two things you need to look for in your blind spots. Number one, opportunities. Number two, opportunity costs. Let's talk about opportunities first. Have you ever looked at something from a distance, and when you got a little closer, you realized what you thought you saw from a distance looked totally different and it was something totally different when you got up close? Or maybe you weren't at a distance, but the lights were off and a little bit of moonlight was coming in through the window, creating shadowy figures that disappeared when you cut the light on. I remember trying to kill a bug in the bathroom, but in reality, it was my hair on the floor that I was trying to squash. Cutting on the lights revealed what my imagination conjured up. What happens to us humans is that at first glance, opportunities look like obstacles. Therefore, we avoid them. We take another path, walking away from the chance to enrich and elevate our lives. Yes, it appeared to you that you dodged a bullet or avoided a problem, but if you really took a closer look and had the right amount of light to examine the situation, you would have discovered a divine opportunity. Let's examine Jesus' life on earth and see how various groups of people responded to him based on what they perceived him to be without taking a closer look. The scribes, Pharisees, and Sadducees saw Jesus as a threat, enough of a threat that they sought to ensnare him and kill him. Then there was the bystanders, onlookers, and crowds that followed Jesus. Many of these people just wanted to be attached to his fame and to see a show. They saw Jesus as entertainment. Others sought healing from Jesus for themselves or their loved ones. They saw one facet of Jesus, the healer, and availed themselves of his power to heal and nothing more. Others perceived him to be a great leader, someone they wanted to follow, but on their own terms, they chose to follow him. They didn't see him as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So when he said something that offended them, they turned away from following him. Then there was Judas, one of the 12 disciples who sold Jesus out to the Jewish religious authorities for 30 pieces of silver. Being one of the 12 disciples means that Judas was in Jesus's inner circle, but his heart wasn't with God. Remember the first commandment, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. Judas broke the first commandment and he betrayed Jesus. Of course, he could have repented and been saved, just like Peter, but instead he committed suicide. Had he really known the love of God, he would have behaved differently and taken advantage of an opportunity to become better. Within the 12 disciples were 3 disciples who were flawed, but were tight with Jesus: Peter, James, and John. You might recall a conversation Jesus had with the 12 disciples that went like this. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." "But what about you?" he asked. "Who do you say I am?" Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven." Divine light reveals Jesus as the Messiah. Your little flashlight won't pick up on that fact. In life, you'll have opportunities that seem like a threat. Some options you'll use for entertainment value because they're fun to talk about and make your life seem more exciting than it really is. Yet other options will be like low-hanging fruit, and you'll pick that fruit and move on because you're not willing to put in the work to reap the fullness of what God has for you. Some opportunities you'll sell for 30 pieces of silver instead of keeping it close to you and allowing it to appreciate over time. And then there will be options for which you'll see them for what they are. But sometimes your flaws will keep you from leveraging them for greater gain. Your perception is your reality, and it's not necessarily your truth, though. When I say your truth, I mean the truth about who you are in divine light and what you're capable of achieving. The choices you're faced with today are between your flashlight and God's divine light. Divine light is available to us if we choose to walk in it. I want to talk about opportunity costs now, and then circle back to how to put your flashlight down and walk in divine light. I said there are two key things in your blind spot: opportunities and opportunity costs. In microeconomic theory, opportunity cost is the loss of the benefit that could have been enjoyed if the best alternative choice was chosen instead. Directly or indirectly, opportunity cost underpins the majority of day-to-day economic decisions that are made in society. So last week we talked about short-term rentals, and I'd like to use the example of renting a property short-term versus long-term in order to deep dive into what opportunity costs are and how they should influence your decision-making. Let's assume you've heard of short-term rentals, but since you are more familiar with the business model of long-term rentals, you don't give short-term rentals any serious consideration. Whether you seriously consider your options or not, opportunity costs still exist for you, because to choose one option means you are giving up the benefits you could have enjoyed if you picked the other option. You've probably heard the term leaving money on the table, which means you did not get all the money you could. I'm not talking about being greedy. I'm talking about selecting the option that maximizes your benefits and aligns with your values. Don't leave money on the table. Imagine you went to the store and your change was $20, but the cashier only gave you $10 back. You would insist all the more that there was more money due to you, and you would aggressively pursue getting all the money you were due. Don't leave money on the table. Let's take a look at the comparison between short-term and long-term rentals, and then punch in some numbers so we can make this example feel a little bit more concrete. With a long-term rental, you have a tenant for 1 year. With a short-term rental, the average stay of guests will be between 3 and 7 days. If you've ever stayed in a hotel, you know what they charge per day is not affordable on a long-term basis. But most of us are used to paying those higher hotel rates in the short term. The occupancy rate is tricky because it depends on the quality of your property, the professionalism of your listing, and the market for short-term rentals wherever your property is located. If those three factors are favorable, then you will achieve a high occupancy rate. Occupancy for long-term rentals is higher because your turnover rate might be once a year or longer. And once your tenant moves out, you'll need time to spruce up the place and find another tenant, which is why the occupancy rate on average is about 95% for long-term rentals. Short-term rentals require more work than long-term rentals because the turnover rate is higher. If you have guests only stay 3 to 7 days, then every 3 to 7 days, you have to have your property cleaned and restocked for the next guest. But you have more flexibility in deciding when your property is available for guests, and you can limit how long or how short guests can stay at your property. Both long-term and short-term rentals have laws you need to be mindful of and taxes that need to be paid. With long-term rentals, you pay income taxes, and for short-term rentals, you pay income taxes and business taxes. If you just look at the revenue per year by choosing to be a landlord of a long-term rental in this scenario, your opportunity cost is $24,447.70 per year in revenue. You would be leaving over $24,000 on the table by choosing long-term versus short-term rentals. But let's say you never really considered becoming a landlord of a long-term rental and you only have one revenue stream, which is your paycheck from your job. Let's say that within 5 years you could save enough money to buy your first investment property. However, you decide not to. Your opportunity cost would be $33,981.50 per year in revenue. When you look at opportunity costs, you see a clearer picture of what you are leaving on the table each year. If more people examine their opportunities and their opportunity costs, they would make better decisions and improve their livelihood. I'm talking about you. You can improve your decision-making abilities and significantly increase your income by taking a closer look at what's in your blind spot. Ignorance really isn't bliss because it's costing you economic growth as well as personal and professional growth. It's costing you your birthright and your divine destiny. God wants us to succeed at being who we are meant to be. We have vast amounts of potential and many opportunities to exercise our potential and discover what we can do. If you want to become all you can be and do the impossible, check out your blind spots. There's some good stuff sitting there unused. Your untapped potential is costing you something. Walking in divine light is a choice. It's a choice we should vocalize every day before God. The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. That if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. With your mouth and in your heart, your choices are confirmed on earth and in heaven. You want to put down that flashlight and walk in divine light, confess it and believe it. Well, family, I have given you a lot to ponder, a lot to think through, and hopefully a lot that you plan to walk in. So until next week, be bold, be great, and be inspired. I'll see you next week. Thank you for joining me for another week of Danielle Inspires. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the alert button so that you are aware of new content as soon as it is released, and share this inspiration with those you love. See you next week.